The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay. Taking stories from today's news, Rebecca and Shay will explore everything from the paranormal, supernatural, the strange and unusual, unsolved mysteries, and more. Join them as they delve deep into the unknown and mysterious, taken from news headlines. Water cooler chat with a paranormal twist. Only on Paranormal Buzz Radio.
Hey Shay, how's it going?
It's going good. Hanging in there. How are you?
Same, hanging in there.
Yeah, that's all we can do at this point.
Yep, exactly. Waiting for spring and summer and all the fun stuff I have planned.
Yes. Right? I haven't done anything in 4 or 5 months. I don't even know. It's been forever.
It's been a while here too, and I'm just kind of like, okay, we need to start planning fun stuff to get out. I'm done.
Yeah. But then again, I feel the same way. But then again, I'm also like, if we plan too much, too quick, we're going to end up right back here this time next year, like the first time.
Right. So, exactly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, but I like planning. It makes me feel better.
Yeah, totally off topic. So I want to give a shout out to India Jean and Amanda Woomer. The new group they started, and I saw it was public. If people want to ask to join this spooky ladies brunch club.
Yeah, they just got that started. It looks like a lot of fun. Basically for women in the paranormal field to kind of get together and hang out.
Yeah, and actually like Zoom or Skype or whatever on top of everything else. So I just thought they deserved a special shout out. Everybody knows I love both of them. So, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think a lot of times the women kind of get shoved to the side. So it's been cool to get us all together.
Yeah. And I don't know who's actually started the group, but I know it might have been a joint effort because they're both heavily involved in it. So,
yeah.
But no, it looks good. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
We're talking about one of my favorite subjects.
Me too. Oh my God, me too.
The assassination of John Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln, and the similarities between the two.
Yes.
We are big Lincoln buffs over here. The Lincoln home is not too far from our house, and so we usually go once a year to the Lincoln home and the museum and do all the Lincoln stuff because it's fun.
Yeah, I got to do all that a few years ago. And it was, I sound like a bitch and cold and stuff, but I'm a very emotional person. And that stuff was so emotional. And me getting to go to JFK's grave and Jackie's and grave and Robert Kennedy was, like, emotional for me. Like, it was they're from Massachusetts, so. So I've always known about them, and getting to do that stuff was like, there's no trip or no experience I'll ever have besides my children. So yeah, I was really happy I got to do that.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I would love to though. I mean, JFK is fascinating, but Lincoln is Illinois, so we've, like I said, I go once a year at least.
Oh, and seeing George Washington Carter's, oh my God, like all of that.
Oh, it's fascinating. So yeah,
It really is. It really is. Arlington Cemetery alone, if you ever get the chance to see this place, people, walk in there and all you see for miles and miles, like, is the white crosses, and you really will remember for the rest of your life what freedom costs.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think going to places like that makes the history come alive, be more real. I mean, like they talk about JFK a lot as being like Camelot, where it's like almost a fairy tale story, but it was real. It did happen.
Yeah. And he was flawed. He was a flawed man. But, I think sometimes the good you do outshines the flawed mistakes you've made.
Right.
I really do. So.
Yeah, and, seeing, the actual furniture and stuff in the Lincoln home that Lincoln used, that Mary Todd picked out, is just very, I don't know.
Yeah.
Makes it more real.
I got to see the bed he died in at the theater. We went there. It's very humbling to be in those places.
For sure.
So.
Okay, so these are similarities between Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Number 1, both men were elected to Congress in 1946. Lincoln in 1846 and Kennedy in 1946.
And this is true. I should have mentioned earlier, I actually fact-checked this one. But this is absolutely true.
Number 2, both men were elected to the presidency in 1960. Lincoln in 1860 and Kennedy in 1960.
Absolutely true.
Number 3, both men were concerned with civil rights. Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and Kennedy proposed what became the Civil Rights Act.
Again, absolutely true.
Yeah, and I think both men were attacked for those beliefs. Lincoln especially, the Emancipation Proclamation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, back when he announced it, he was criticized for number 1, not going too far, or number 2, even introducing it at all. And then, Kennedy too. I mean, the Civil Rights Act, same thing. Number 1, it didn't go too far, or it went too far.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And number 4, both men married in their 30s to women in their 20s.
Again, true.
Yeah. I think both of them, had such a busy, full life when they were younger that they just didn't have time for relationships until they were older.
Yeah. It's
Number 5, both men lost a son while living in the White House.
Actually, this one I have notes on. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know Lincoln lost a son while living in the White House. That, obviously, I mean, we all know about, which one was it? Was it Willie? I
forget the name, but he was born and lived for 2 or 3 days. JFK's son. You are right. I just started talking about the different one. Lincoln's son was Willie. He was about 11 years old when he died. So
yeah. And he died from, I think, diphtheria. It was, a common illness in that time period, but really sad, very sad. Lincoln and his wife both were very upset by losing that son.
And this will come up again later, but Lincoln also lost a second son kind of around that age.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then Kennedy lost a son. I didn't realize that one. I guess.
Yeah, Jackie Kennedy, this isn't written down, so this part please don't quote me on, had a few miscarriages along the way. Before the kids were born, in the middle of the kids. But this baby was actually born and only lived somewhere between 1 and 3 days.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Number 6. Both presidents had 4 children. Both lost 2 before they reached their teens.
That's what. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was just mentioning. So.
Yeah. Lincoln lost Eddie at the age of 3, I think, and that was before he...
Oh, was it 3? I thought he was older. Sorry.
No, he was younger, and then that was before he was elected. I think it was even before he was elected senator.
Yeah.
And then the other one while he was at the White House.
Yeah, all I could find on JFK was the many miscarriages she had, because it was a struggle for her to bring the babies to term, and the stillborn that died at 2 days old. No, sorry. She had one stillborn, and then the one that died at 2 days old and many miscarriages. Sorry.
Well, that's sad.
Very.
Number 7, doctors for Lincoln and Kennedy had the same name, Charles Taft.
All right, so this is the only one I could not find information on, and I did look a little bit, but I wasn't going to spend an hour on it.
Right.
I cannot verify this. I'm not saying it's not true, but I could not, because every time you look, it brings up the doctors who were there when they died. So this could be true. It might not be true. This is the only one I can't verify.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
So
I tried to look up childhood doctors. I tried to, and I couldn't.
Interesting. I don't know about that one either. Number 8, Lincoln's private secretary was called John, and Kennedy's private secretary was called Lincoln. Lincoln's private secretary was John Nicolay, and then Kennedy's private secretary was Evelyn Lincoln.
And this is true.
All right, number 9. Both men were shot on a Friday.
Absolutely true.
Number 10. Both men were shot in the head.
Absolutely true.
Number 11. Both men were shot in the presence of their wives.
Again, we all know. Absolutely true.
I was going to say, those 3 were all, pretty obvious. Number 12. Lincoln was sitting in box 7 of Ford's theater when he was killed. Kennedy was riding in car number 7 in the cavalcade in a Lincoln card made by the Ford Motor Company.
Lincoln, I believe that's right on Lincoln. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. This was the other one that I think I found confirmation on, but I can't, promise. It's actually factual. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, even not knowing for sure the numbers were right, but definitely he was in a Lincoln car made by Ford. And
yes,
Ford.
that part is true. But the numbers of them is what I...
Number 13, both were assassinated by Southerners, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yep.
Number 14, the law enforcement officer who had detained John Wilkes Booth was called Lafayette Baker, as was the man who detained Lee Harvey Oswald, was Marion L. Baker. I wonder if they're related.
I don't know if they're related, but the Lafayette Baker didn't actually capture John Wilkes Booth. He sent the man or men that ended up capturing him, from what I read.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's still a big coincidence, but...
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yep.
Number 15, their presidential successors were both named Johnson, Andrew Johnson and Lyndon B. Johnson.
Again, very true.
Number 16, both men were succeeded by Southerners.
Yep.
Southerners. Number 17, both successors were born in 08. Andrew Johnson in 1808 and Lyndon Johnson in 1908.
Yep.
Number 18, both assassins are known by 3 names, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald. I wonder, that one I'm kind of like, once they become, that person, I wonder if they start using their middle name, were they actually called John Wilkes or Lee Harvey, or, then this happened and then everybody just starts using their middle name.
I wonder that too, but then you look at Jack Ruby.
That's one name. He killed Lee. So it's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Number 19. Now, this one's kind of a weird coincidence. Both assassins' names have 15 letters.
And if I counted right, this is true, because I counted it multiple times, but I am blind. But I'm pretty sure this is correct.
Yeah, that's an odd coincidence.
Yeah.
Number 20. Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in the theater.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is odd.
Like
yeah.
It's just, I mean, we can make assumptions and connections to anything we want, but this many is just weird.
Yeah, it is. Number 21. Both assassins were themselves assassinated before their trials.
Yes and no.
Yeah, yes and no. John Wilkes Booth.
He was killed. I think he was shot in the neck. I didn't write this down, but I think he was shot in the neck by the person that tried to capture him. So I don't know if they had said both men died, that would be different. But I don't know that John Wilkes Booth was assassinated. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
unless I misread something. Did the guy shoot him on purpose? I don't.
Yeah, that one's debatable. They don't really know for sure exactly what happened. Yeah. He was trapped in a barn, and
Yeah. So both men died before, but
drawn out, and
the assassination part is what I had trouble with.
Yeah, but obviously Lee Harvey Oswald, we know that one. But John, I don't know. All right, number 22. John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald were both originally thought to be lone gunmen, but it was later discovered they were part of a conspiracy.
This is my biggest one that I take issue with.
I was going to say.
Because Oswald, maybe. There's a lot of people that believe it. But there's nothing proven. So how can you actually state that as a fact?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that one is extremely debatable on the Lee Harvey side. I don't know that they've ever proved beyond a shadow of the doubt that he was part of a conspiracy. I mean, there's definitely talk that there was a conspiracy. But proof, I'm not sure.
Me neither, but Abe Lincoln's killer, Booth, he died before he could be tried. But 3 other men were tried, convicted, and hung for conspiracy in the murder.
Right.
So.
Marie Surratt, too. And there was definitely a conspiracy with John Wilkes Booth. That was for sure. They were supposed to kill the 3 of them. There were supposed to be 3 of them killed at the same time. It was a coordinated strike. It was supposed to take out Abraham Lincoln. Who were the other 2? Secretary of Treasury and the Vice President.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah, and Seward was the only one that was he was stabbed, but he survived his injuries.
Are you going by memory?
Yeah, I'm going by memory.
See, you're so good.
Told you I'm a nut on this stuff. But
me too.
The one who was supposed to do the vice president chickened out. So, but yeah, there was 110% a conspiracy with John Wilkes Booth.
Definitely. And I just don't see anything proving, although one of my favorite movies is JFK.
Yeah.
I love it, and Stone did a great job, and I want to believe, but there's no evidence. And it's not based on fact, it's a fictional recreation.
Right. And like I said, I know there are a lot of people who believe a conspiracy, and I'm not going to deny that there could be a conspiracy. What I'm saying is that unlike Lincoln, there were no co-conspirators that were actually named.
Exactly.
Yeah. They've never actually tried and convicted someone as a co-conspirator in the Kennedy assassination. So, yeah.
I agree. So one more thing that actually started this quest is I wanted to share something on Paranormal Buzz Radio, but I wanted to fact check it first. And once I did that, and I'm like, oh, how about this? Because I knew most of it was real. So I'm going to try to read this, and let me know what you think of this. This is a short version. When we share the stories, I will share the long story in our group. But Edwin Booth, brother of presidential assassin John Wilkes Booth, was boarding a train in 1864 or 1865 when he noticed a man was at risk of being crushed by a car as it began to move. He grabbed the man by the collar and pulled him to safety. That man that he saved was Robert Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's son. That is factual. What are the chances of Booth's brother saving Lincoln's son? So weird.
Yeah. That is a very, very strange coincidence.
Isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah, one of the things that really fascinates me about the whole Lincoln thing is that he had many premonitions about his death and that sort of stuff.
I know his wife did. She begged him not to go to the theater because she thought he was going to die.
Right.
Or something bad was going to happen. She might not have said died. I can't remember. Sorry.
Yeah, and there was a dream that he had.
No, she had.
He had a dream.
I thought she did.
He had one. He had one where he looked in the mirror and...
oh, yes.
Yeah, he looked in the mirror,
yes,
which they do have the mirror that he looked in, and the Lincoln home, FBI. But he looks in the mirror and he sees himself, and he's older and gray, and then he sees himself and he looks like he's dead. And so Mary Todd interpreted that dream to mean that he wouldn't survive the second.
Didn't she see a medium or a psychic about it too? I think I was confusing the two. I think she saw a psychic beforehand. If not before, she saw one, I think, after he died. But I'm pretty sure she was into all of that.
Oh, she was totally into all of that. She was totally into all of that. They had seances and stuff, and she was definitely into the paranormal and the whole spiritual movement. So, just it's really fascinating. I don't know. Very fascinating.
It is. It is. I'll have to look more into that, but I was totally wrong. It was him that had the dream once you said it, and then it was her interpretation, or she went to see a psychic, and it was the psychic's interpretation that said, don't go there. So, see, I can admit when I'm wrong, Matthew.
Yeah, no, the interpretation was that he would get elected for the second term, but he wouldn't survive it.
Yeah.
So, and it proved true. So.
Yeah, very much. All right, guys, on that note, if you have anything to say about this story, have any questions, if you want to send us a story that you want us to talk about and get a shout out, or if you want to be a guest, please send them to
Exploring the Unknown with Rebecca and Shay podcast on Facebook group, for sure.
Yes, definitely. Please.
Yes. And I want to do a shout out on this one too to Garrett Moffitt. My friend Garrett runs Springfield Walks Ghost Tours in Springfield, Illinois. So if you want to hear all the ghostly stories about Abraham Lincoln, look for Springfield Walks when you're in Springfield.
Yes, please do that. Look him up.
Yeah. He knows all the stories. I only know a few.
Hey, he could be my new best friend.
Garrett knows all the Lincoln stuff. He's up on it and does an excellent walking tour of Springfield.
Nice.
So, look up Garrett. Just FYI.
Yeah, definitely. because I love that stuff, like I said.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we did pretty good. We only went over by a little bit, and I was keeping my answers very short, and we only went over by a little bit. So I'm patting myself on the back. Listeners can't see it, but I am. So,
yeah, and managed not to rattle on about Lincoln too terribly much because obviously I'm a big Lincoln buff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think between you and me, we could talk about these two for hours and hours.
Yeah, and the whole Kennedy assassination, yeah, that could be. There's a lot to both. So
there really is. So, all right, guys, we hope you have a great week. Thank you for listening, and join us next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.